Hi, I'm Patricia Norton. I love the sound of voices together. I love choral ensembles. And when it became clear to me that this wasn't going to be an option for a long time, I felt angry and sad and really kind of lost. And that lasted for quite a while. Many long walks, a lot of chocolate conversations, and crying later. I started thinking about how there might be some things that we can do now that we haven't tried before, ways of creating community and art despite barriers, maybe even because of barriers.
In March of 2020, the Zoomberry Community Course of the Upper Valley Music Center was preparing for their end-of-term concert. Directed by Patricia Norton, this choir was one of the many in the Upper Valley who had to put their plans on hold when the COVID-19 pandemic hit the United States. In the hopes of a speedy return to in-person choral practices, Patricia pivoted and led choral rehearsals through Zoom in hopes of keeping her singers primed for the supposedly soon end of the pandemic.
One of the first super spreader events was a chorus in Oregon. So it became clear very early in our understanding of what was dangerous with the virus, that rehearsing in person inside was dangerous.
Yeah.
So it put the kibosh on in-person rehearsals right off in early March. So I started doing virtual rehearsals and found that it was, and then talked with my chorus about it, and about half of the chorus enjoyed it and half the chorus really hated it, and it was clear that there was quite a mix of response to that. It became, and when we started doing it, we weren't sure whether maybe we were going to be able to give a concert in a few months, still an in-person concert. So gradually that became clear that that wasn't going to happen.
We tried to do Zoomberry for a little bit once the pandemic started. We tried to continue, and I think at that time, right, we all thought that the pandemic wasn't going to last this long. So we were like, oh, it'll be over by our, we were supposed to perform in May, I think. And we were like, oh, well, let's keep practicing for a performance in May. And then as we got closer, I think we all realized that we weren't going to be performing after all, and it was incredibly frustrating.
Once the realization settled in that in-person choral singing may not be an option anytime soon, Patricia was faced with the choice to continue these rough Zoom Zoomberry rehearsals or put the choir on hold. She chose the latter, but the idea of a choir designed for Zoom kept turning over in her head.
Patricia and I used to walk frequently together, and I remember when she first started talking about this, and she was like bubbling over with ideas, just bubbling, and I met this young filmmaker, and she's going to do the filming, and she's so great. I mean, honestly, she was bubbling over.
And I started thinking, well, what can I offer for people who love choral singing? Where can I go that's somewhere that people will build skills for when we come back to in-person choral singing? Because I know that's going to happen.
Yes.
And how can we keep people in their voices? How can we build skills so that when they come back, they hit the ground running, and they're even better than before? How can we use this time and do something with it?
And Zoomberry was born. Patricia gathered 4 completely different pieces of music for this new chorus, with the help from the Upper Valley Music Center and Claudia Rahardjanoto, among others.
So I don't think I would have just done any old Zoom choir. I don't want to say any old, excuse me. I don't mean to put down any choir, please. But this was different because it was this creative project, and we had some body percussion and just some different, the variety was really pulled me. It just was a nice project, what can I say?
And one of the things that I've loved about this project is how many people have heard about it and gotten excited about it and been interested in supporting it. So Ben and Aaron at the Upper Valley Music Center and Becca, the staff there, the board there, they've all gotten on board with getting funding and figuring out, finding a filmmaker. Johanna Kaffa of the Choral Arts Foundation of the Upper Valley, Johanna Evans, helped me connect with Nora Jacobson, which is how I found you as a filmmaker, and you're excited about it.
Yes, I am.
Claudia's excited about it. I wanted to think about how to help people hum in a resonant way, so I talked with Joey Blake, who is this incredible vocalist. He's on faculty at Berklee College of Music.
Yeah.
And he's excited about it.
I just wanted to go back to Patricia, and what she did was she took the time we're in. She didn't lament. I mean, maybe she did. Maybe we all do. You know, what is gone, what is past, but it is what it is. You know, there's nothing we can do. We have to be smart about moving forward, and we are. I think Vermont's doing a great job. And then Joey, and would we have these folks come to us? Probably not. They wouldn't come from New York City or Boston. It's a little bit closer. They probably wouldn't. They might. You don't know. But we have, oh my God, world-class musicians that are going to be part of our Zoom meetings.
Once the team was gathered behind Patricia, it was time to begin. More than 45 people had joined the Zoomberry virtual choir in the fall of 2020. Most of them hailed from New England, but thanks to the virtual nature of the chorus, singers from places as far away as Vancouver were able to join.
Zoomberry has meant an opportunity to connect with people that I would not have been able to connect with otherwise during this pandemic. It's really been an opportunity to see people that I knew through choir, through Zoomberry, that I probably wouldn't have Zoomed with otherwise, not because I don't really love everybody, but just because of the circumstances of it, that being on Zoom all day anyway, I just really cut down on how much I saw people in general, even the people closest to me. And I think that's probably true for a lot of people. And so if Zoomberry hadn't happened, I probably wouldn't have had that much contact.
The other thing I like about it is that there are people who join from all over the country and in fact, other countries as well. And that has been really special. And, you know, I did not have that experience before the coronavirus. So I'm you know, I try to look for the silver lining. Those are the silver linings, but I miss singing in a group together live with other people.
The project began with Our Light and Our Night.
The first piece is a piece that was written by a sort of an avant-garde composer, I guess you could call her. She's part of the C4 collective, which does modern choral music. And that piece was written to be sung on Zoom with everything taken into account, all the lag time and the mic choosing in and out, everything like that. So we'll start by exploring that piece. And it's to a very old text of Julian of Norwich. And it's kind of a hopeful text. It's kind of our light in our night, this sense of the possibility of things opening up.
The words so moved me again, so appropriate for this time. So when I do feel down, I remember our light in the night, you know, the light of God, an endless day. Oh my gosh, that is, I mean, I look out today and I see the brightness. And so that's what we have to go forward to, is this brightness, this, if we lift our hearts up, they will be full of light.
This piece was chosen in part as a way to showcase the difficulties of singing over Zoom. By the end of October, it was recorded and mixed by the beginning of December.
And I think I was kind of upset, I remember, when I found out that this was supposed to be our baseline piece to show how terrible we sound as a choir and how much we're going to improve through the term. Because I was like, hey, I'm singing this with my heart and soul, and I think it sounds pretty good. So I actually did like that one. I thought that one had some beauty to it, and it also afforded a lot of laughter because we got to record it as a group, which was really, really fun. And we all kind of got confused and messed up all over the place, but it was so fun.
I think Our Light in Our Night did capture some of the difficulty of singing over Zoom and why it's difficult to make it be a musical experience. And it really captured the variability of mics, the quality of sound through Zoom. It really captured the willingness and the generosity of the singers.
When I listen to recordings of either Juneberry Chorus when it performs things, or even recordings of Handel Society, you can find flaws in it, even of the performances.
Yeah.
That you don't notice when you're performing yourself because you're wrapped up in it and you're really
In the
enjoying
moment. Yeah.
experiencing that. Yeah. But this, I think, was a bigger step down than what most of those things are.
And in some respects, while it was a little disconcerting at first, I think it helped to set the stage for us, for the rest of the work we're doing, to really help understand how different this process is.
The first time, I was horrified. I was horrified.
It was unique. That piece could have been very traditional in terms of its structure, but having such a lack of structure turned it on its head, and our experience as well.
Ours may not count as a beautiful recording, but it counts as a real engagement with the music.
Yes. While Our Light and Our Night was being mixed, the chorus turned their attention to the next piece in line. They knew they needed to up their tech game to get a truer capture of their beautiful voices, as well as learn this unusual arrangement of John Newton's Amazing Grace.
Because that includes the audience, and that is also, I think, a very satisfying piece to sing harmonically. It's also familiar and a beautiful piece. And also, it's a piece that acknowledges, I wanted to have something in this that acknowledged the struggle with racial justice that's going on in our country right now.
Yeah.
And of course, Amazing Grace was written by someone who traded slaves. He owned slave ships. He made money selling human beings from Africa to the United States. And then he had a moment when he realized that it was wrong. And that's that moment of Amazing Grace where he had this realization that he describes himself as a wretch in that song, when he realized how wrong what he was doing was. And so this piece carries weight for me at this moment in time in the States. I think I'm not the only one who has made a commitment for a more just, a fairer world.
The chorus was privileged to work with Berklee College of Music's Joey Blake on Amazing Grace. Joey attended the rehearsals from Africa, another bonus of the virtual nature of Zoomberry.
Oh my gosh, I would marry that man in a heartbeat. Oh my gosh. And I'm married, so, that would be a problem. Oh, I thought he was wonderful.
Was.
And I really appreciated the things that he talked about, about really, using this as your instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard that before, but the way he said it just made a different impact, and the sort of the tips he used about, how to shape your mouth. And it was different. I mean, I'd never had any instruction on humming before. So it was useful. I mean, I thought it was really useful. And I was so impressed that he came to us from Rwanda in the middle of the night.
Oh my gosh,
and then, he was scheduled to do an hour, and we went for
2
I don't know, an hour and 20 or whatever. No, it was consider it maybe an hour and a half. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Patricia said that she sent him a private chat and said, we're just at your hour now, and I don't want to keep you
awake.
And he wrote back and said, oh no, we're going to keep going here.
I found it fascinating. It was just a wonderful session with him. I just loved him as a person, just his love that emanated from him, and also his skill set and his willingness to share himself, again, across thousands of miles.
To honor the magic of singing together, this version of Amazing Grace is incomplete until your voice joins, singing the words. Whether you find yourself alone or in a crowd right now, please sing with us.
Throughout working Our Light and Our Night in Amazing Grace, the chorus was also engaged with the body percussion piece that was created by Claudia Rahardjanoto to Ernesto Nazareth's piano melody. The piece was performed with Brenda Chien at the piano and Claudia on the tap floor at the Lebanon Opera House in March.
So I thought to myself, well, what would be exciting? And I thought, well, what if we did, and what could we do together that would be other than a virtual choir?
Yeah.
I did want to do one virtual choir piece, but what other options are there? And so that's when I thought about, well, what if we were masked and distant from each other? What could we do then? And not able to really enunciate words. And I thought, well, what about humming and body percussion? And then I thought about my friend Claudia Rahardjanoto, who lives in New York City, who I see once a year. We do workshops together with Bobby McFerrin and his faculty.
Yeah.
So I've known her for 4 years now. And she's an extraordinary tap dancer and body percussionist.
Yeah.
And I thought, what if I called her up and saw if she wanted to write a piece? You know, maybe she would help me compose a piece or guide me towards a piece that we could do this. And I called her up and described my thoughts, and she was over the moon. She was so excited.
Upon signing up for Zoomberry, the chorus members also selected a level of body percussion, from very simple to bring it on. From there, levels of body percussion difficulty were assigned: 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, or 3.
I think I would have aimed for a higher level on the body percussion. But that said, it took me it took me most of the time to be able to get level 1 down. But I just watching some of the people, I don't think I would ever want to aim for a level 3 type of stuff. But 2, might be possible. But when we first started with Claudia trying to demonstrate in one teaching session all the different levels and the moves for them, and then getting some of them wrong and restarting, and it was just like overwhelmingly confusing for me. It was like, I don't know what's going on with this. I can't do this.
When we started, I was like, okay, I'll be a 1. I'll be a 1. I'll be like at the lowest level. I'll do the simplest part. I'm a 2.5. I know. And I'm like, I'm going to do it, So I'm like pretty pleased with myself.
Even with all the levels and months of preparation, body percussion was still a point of nerves and difficulty for the chorus.
Another thing that I'm foreseeing as being challenging is the body percussion. Most choral singers haven't done a lot of body percussion. We've done some in Juneberry, but always just a small
Exercise.
Just a little bit. And it's been part of songs, but it's been a small part of songs, not
The entire song.
the entire song. So I'm anticipating that people are going to feel nervous about body percussion.
Yeah.
So again, we're breaking it down into really small steps. And Claudia is making videos for everybody to follow.
The process is more grueling than Juneberry used to be, for sure. And there's a lot of body percussion. Claudia is a really wonderful person. She's super sweet. She's super skilled. I am really surprised that I'm having such a difficult time with the body percussion part, because I used to dance ballet. I used to be in the gumboot dance troupe at Dartmouth. So choreography and rhythm, in theory, are my play spaces. But for some reason, learning it alone has a totally different feel. Like if you're in a group of gumboot dancers and you're all stomping the floor and clapping the sides of your boots, there's an energy in that that sustains you. But standing by myself kind of you know, like learning, okay, and then I turn to the left and then I take 3 steps to the side. It becomes so cognitive in a way. It becomes so like prefrontal cortex, that it loses that kind of primal in your body joy that I kind of need to keep going. So I'm really struggling with that.
However, Odeon wasn't all struggle and no fun.
Then I realized, oh, let me add that when I'm tired and need a pick-me-up and I have a project I need to do. Let me do Odeon before I go do X or pay bills or whatever. You know, that kind of thing. Like, let me let that bring, or when I come home, I mean, I usually work from my home, but sometimes I do go into the library when I come home and I'm tired. Let me do that first to kind of pep up after the long day.
Although it was challenging, I enjoyed doing it. And I really enjoyed the performance with other people. Being in the same room with people live, seeing Claudia tap, she's just so amazing. In fact, I told Patricia by email that I missed one of my entrances for B, part B, because I was just like entranced by what she was doing with that. And it was like, oh, wait a minute, we have to come in.
Though it seemed up in the air in the months and weeks leading up to the performance, in early March of 2021, a new ventilation system was implemented, and the chorus was able to perform Odeon in person, socially distanced.
Yeah, so we had to put people 10 feet apart, not just 6 feet apart, but because they might be breathing a little harder when they're doing body percussion and so forth, and because we were going to be together for a full hour, it was important that people be 10 feet apart. And so we literally took a measuring tape and measured what's a 10-foot distance between people, and then we made a diamond shape because we could fit more people in rather than, we could fit more people in that way.
Yeah.
So that's, and 10 feet apart turned out to be further apart than I thought it would be. I had originally thought we might be able to fit, 50 people in the Opera House distanced. And as it was, our 26 body percussors filled up the downstairs. It was so magical. It was so wonderful. And it was better than I had anticipated or dreamed it could be. It was so, you could feel us all breathe together before we started. That was just such a magical moment. And seeing people, I was surprised by how much expression you could read above the masks. And seeing people's eyes sparkling. People were so happy to be there. And you could just feel that happiness. That was really cool.
Honestly, what was going through my mind was, dang, I wish we had one more take.
Because of COVID safety and geographical distance, the recording was planned such that members who were unable to attend the performance in person could Zoom in instead.
I knew that I was on Zoom, obviously, because I was on Zoom, but I didn't fully appreciate while I was doing it how large I think I was up on the screen in the Lebanon Opera House. So I was kind of very free. I was exhausted that day. I was pretty overwhelmed. I was planning my wedding, which was like the next week. I had a lot I needed to get done.
Yeah, so that, that sense of sort of joy at the end was so great. And then, the excitement and all that, even though I wasn't there physically, that was, like I said, the energy was really transmuted. I could feel it.
Actually, you could step out of it now. You'll be able to step out. Oh, look again. Do it again. All right. We're getting very...
In the midst of working on Odeon, the chorus had also begun the final sung piece of the choir's roster, An Rith. An Rith was written by Andrew Cusworth to be sung by 2 Welsh choirs, using a text by his choir member, poet D.J. Pritchard, in reaction to the pandemic's effect on choir singing. They invited other choruses to join them in learning this song. So, Zoomberry's recording will be heading over to Wales to be shared more widely in the future.
Prepped that, and it's really about the experience of being a chorus, not being able to sing together, and feeling connected anyway to your choral people, and really still being a chorus, even though what you thought was the central part of being a chorus
Is no longer.
That really you still are. So discovering that, and that piece, oh my goodness, that piece, I wanted a piece that gives everybody the satisfaction of some of the richness of choral music. So it is jam-packed with suspensions and yummy chords, and just, it feels so good to sing. It's just such a satisfying song.
Since An Rith was created by a Welsh choir, it was sung entirely in Welsh. Now, this may sound intimidating, but Zoomberry members set to work with willingness and all the experience with online learning they'd already gained across all the other pieces.
I would say my question in the Q&A was like, Welsh? And she said, don't worry, Zoomberry has learned. And then she rattled off all of the different languages. And so, of course, there's going to be instruction. We're not going to be thrown to the wolves.
I think all the work we've done leading up to it has made it better.
Oh, good.
I think that the recordings are better. I think that the sound quality is better. And I think people love the song. They've really worked on it. And it shows audibly.
Oh, good.
It's audible. It's clearly, yeah. And I think people are getting more comfortable with singing into the microphone and in front of the camera. And I think their voices are sounding more relaxed.
Oh, good.
And that's beautiful to hear.
So my favorite piece to work on thus far, for sure. As I mentioned, the poetry is beautiful. And because we are in this place where we are shuttered, to be able to be a choir still in the way that we can do it now is an honor.
The Welsh piece is gorgeous.
Yes.
It's gorgeous, and it's beautiful to sing, but those words are really tricky.
Just to be connected with them across the miles, across the ocean, doing this piece feels really wonderful. So it's bigger than what we are. And I guess that's the thing that COVID has taught me most of all, is how we are truly connected as a species, and not just as a species, but all species. We're all in this together.
On
about Zoomberry. She gathered talented people, Anna, Brenda, Claudia, others, and she invited them to share their gifts with us. Then the word went out for intrepid singers and people who were willing to give body percussion a try. Hey! That was her boldness. And today we celebrate the genius, power, and magic that it has created.